We will begin our next section entitled Mobility with BIM 360 Glue by taking a look at a saved view, one that we actually referenced in the beginning of the lesson, for the flipped diffusers that we found while exploring the models in the beginning. We're going to take this view and go ahead and save it out or notify one of our mobile users in the system so that they can open it and view it on their iPad using the BIM 360 Glue mobile app. So we'll go ahead and take a look at Anthony here, and we're going to send something out to him and say, hey, please take a look. We'll send that notification out. So again, it's the same system we've been using up to this point, except for now on the consumption side, we're going to go ahead and get a notification on our iPad and consume that notification using the mobile app. So here we are on the iPad, and I have several of the Autodesk mobile apps loaded, including the one for BIM 360 Glue. Before I open the app, I'm going to also show how that notification is seen through the curtain here, the notifications on the iPad through iOS. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and pull down our curtain, and we'll see that sure enough, we've gotten a notification or a pop-up saying that BIM 360 Glue has a view for us to look at. All I need to do is simply select on that notification. It opens BIM 360 Glue Mobile and should load the appropriate model for us. Just like in our desktop app, that model is going to stream down, in this case now, to our iPad, cache it out for us, and we can open it up, and sure enough, there is that view that we saw on the desktop app. From here, we can do a lot of different things. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at the navigation tools. So what we have here is some pretty straightforward navigation. We have some simple tools down here on the lower left-hand corner. There's a joystick, which is very much like the walk tool in the desktop app. We also have the ability to go home, so go out to the basic view, the home view. We can turn on gravity, and we also have a gyroscope enabled here, so I can pick up that iPad, move it around just like I'm standing in the actual room for that, or in this case in the actual space. So let's experiment a little bit here. I'm going to take the iPad and use the joystick and start to move around. And you can see that the fidelity is pretty good. I can move as fast or as slow as I need to. And at the same time, I have the ability to use my gestures. I can pan, pinch to zoom. I can also orbit. And I can select information. So when I select something here, in this case this duct, I can view its properties. I can isolate it. So now I can see this duct in context of the space. I can turn that duct on and off. I can also view its properties. So here we have just that duct, and I can see all the building information here. I can also use this arrow here, which allows me to then browse the hierarchy. So now I'm up into the family for mitered elbows and T's. And then I can go all the way up into all the rectangular ducts in the hierarchy, and then keep going and get up into the full segment, the full system, so on and so forth. So great way to be able to explore the information and have this at your fingertips right out, either at the point of construction or if you just happen to be mobile for the time. So that is looking at the properties. Next, we can take a look at other views. Here I may have a situation where I need to share this with somebody else, and I can go ahead and I could have my views saved, so as my login I'll just see those. I can see the shared views as well. Let's get back to that flipped diffuser. The other thing we can do is come in and start to mark up. So I can share markups, and we can look at some of those that might be in here, and I can also create them here on the mobile app. Note that a lot of the same tools here, even the same icons. We have our freehand, our text, and our colors. So I'm going to go ahead and freehand here. We can take a look at that. We'll add some text. Let's just go ahead and add some quick text there. And I can go ahead and then save that. And of course, our envelope is there as well. And we've got the ability to go ahead and notify as well. When I notify, I'll go ahead and add other people. I can pick Ben, Deb, and David. And I can tap that message if need to. So just like we were working on a desktop, but now the power is in my hands here at my fingertips using the iPad. I can also do some field verification here. If I need to look at, looks like we do have another problem here with the model. We've got a gap in the model, and we can maybe take a look at where that gap is coming from. Excuse me for my fat-fingered views here. And let's go ahead and maybe say between that and that, what's the minimum distance? And we can see there that it's 4 inches and 3/8. So is that consistent throughout? If it's consistent throughout, maybe there's just a problem with the loading of the model. We get an XY differentiation there as well as Z. So very nice for us to be able to tell what's going on. Again, we can save this off as a view for people to come back and reference. So I'll go ahead and say done there. Other measurement tools. We just saw one way to do minimum distance between two objects. Let's pick a different tool here. Let's go ahead and pick that and look at the diffuser and that duct and see what our clearances are like. And as I orbit around, again, we're getting that X, Y, and Z difference shown to us as well as up on the graph there. So very powerful for field verification, for taking measurements. We, of course, also just have our plane point-to-point, where I can just pick a couple different points on the screen and get that X, Y, and Z difference. So great tools for measurement of the model. Last but not least, the ability to look at the models. So we can reset our visibility. We can turn the model lines on and off. We can then show and hide things using the eyeballs. So if I go ahead and tap here, we'll see that I can turn off the framing at the high level. I can turn off the 6th level there. I can turn off all the HVAC. But I can also then look at the model lines. So it just gives us a little bit more graphical fidelity here as we look, sharpens things up, gives us those lines coming out of our model. If I want to dig down in to the information, I can select on something here and view that information. And then again, I have that eyeball where I can turn things on and off as well. Very nice suite of set of tools here for working with that model. We're interacting with the model, but we're also interacting with our teammates or our extended team by having the measurement tools, by having the markups, and the views right here, and can collaborate with the extended team. Go ahead and give this a shot yourself. Hopefully you all have an iPad that you can load your model on. Make sure to download the Autodesk BIM 360 Glue app. Log in with your credentials from your trial site or your normal site, and you'll be able to replicate a lot of these steps by sharing something from the desktop, seeing that notification, popping it open in your local iPad, and then going ahead and using the tools here to navigate as well as to mark up and see the views. Last but not least, let's look at some of the other tools available to us once we've done some collaboration with the team, as well as play around again with some of the navigation tools. So as I mentioned earlier, we have the ability to look at markups, but we can also see what happens when we have a lot of markups happening at the same time. So some gestures here that can help us with that. We can obviously tap on one of the markups here. Pinch collapses that markup. If we spread it out, we can then get all of the markups that are available. So now we can start to look at things individually. We see the one that was originally added by Anthony, and then again by David, and then again by Deb. So in this case here, we follow the entire track of this process. We found the flipped diffusers. They were verified in the model. We then looked at the model and said that is definitely a problem. And then the designer was able to come back from a request for more information and say, it's an error in the design model. These shouldn't even be here. So at the end of the day, we're collaborating in a great way, and we can see that information simply by using some straightforward navigation of pinching to see less and expanding to see more detail. So a really nice setup there for looking at these markups and managing the information. And of course, we can continue to add more here if we need to. The other part of the navigation, we've done some of that joystick. So if we move around the joystick here, we've done that. Let's go ahead and maybe put ourselves up in the air a little bit, just so I can show what happens when we turn on gravity. We've got gravity on, and then of course, when we start to move forward, we'll go ahead and drop down to the surface of that plane that we're on. Kind of hard to see through this format here, but what I'm going to do is go ahead and hold my thumb down on that gyroscope, and then you can't see it, but I am tilting the iPad, and unfortunately my Wi-Fi is hurting us a little bit here with seeing the fidelity of moving that piece around through the reflector license here, showing for the training. But basically, you hold down that gravity button, and then tilt your iPad around, and it's going to replicate like if you were actually standing in the space. Uses the gyroscope within the iPad to do so, and gives you that sense of moving around. And now you can kind of see the X-ray, if you will, of your system. Just a little bit about the graphic user interface here. We have our help, so at any time we can select on this question mark in the lower corner, and it gives us, I think, a very intuitive system for telling us what's going on. We've got an action menu, our immersive view, the gravity, the home view, so on and so forth. Tells us about our toolbar across the bottom, and at any time we can just click to dismiss that. We can click on our icon here, and if we need to sign out, we can do so. Our more detailed help is there. We can also check on our version if we need to. And then, of course, at any time, we can always browse back out, and you'll see a very similar interface to what we had on the desktop, where we have our Rubik's Cube for our merged models, our other icon here for our models, and we can see all that same information here streamable to our iPad that we had in that project. And of course, we can browse out and see our other hosts as well as the other projects. Just want to show that we can also have local models. What does that mean? So a local model is when I physically copy the Navisworks NWD file onto my machine. I can then open up that local file here from memory. So this is if we know we're going to go 100% offline, or we just happen to get some information sent to us, like a quick NWD file of a crane or a specific logistical scenario. We can download that from our email, do an open in, and once iOS recognizes the file format, it'll give us the option to open it in Autodesk BIM 360 Glue. Same exact interface. You won't really be able to tell the difference between the two. Other than that, here you'll see it in the local models tab. So with that, that's going to conclude the mobility section as well as the entire course. I want to thank everybody for taking the time. Make sure to check out the knowledge check questions and retain the information here. And of course, if you haven't at this point, give everything a try. Take the time to go back through the courseware, go through the steps on your own, and give Autodesk BIM 360 Glue a really good show. And appreciate everyone's time and their attention towards helping us spread the word and get our customers the benefits of using Autodesk BIM 360, specifically Autodesk BIM 360 Glue. Thank you.